Hello and welcome to a new show idea that I would like to call Shards of Wisdom. This is just some mini Zelda theories that I want to do that you might not see anywhere. Either way, enjoy the show! As we dive into a topic that I have noticed in Age of Calamity, do note there will be no major spoilers for this game. Some minor spoilers ahead for Chapter 2. And if you do not want to be spoiled, do not watch this video at all. And with all warnings aside, roll title! Now with the release of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, we see how Hyrule looked like 100 years before Breath of the Wild. And to be honest, it looks quite good. But we won't go into details about this. Instead, I want to focus on a scene that played in Chapter 2 for laughs. But actually points out an interesting fact that I never thought possible. In this scene, we see Daruk offer food to Link, which turns out to be a prime rock roast cooked to perfection. And while Impa and Zelda look at horror at this food, Link simply eats it, without breaking his teeth or getting a tummy ache from even the first bite. Now you would think he's just the hero of light and able to take on anything, as we can even make him eat a brew made out of Guardian's parts in Breath of the Wild to make him look a bit sick when he eats it. And even in a later cutscene in Age of Calamity, he seems to be eating rock hard food. But this got me thinking, can Hylians consume Goron food in some way? What else can they consume? Well, first of all I would like to say, after some research, I can confirm that Hylians can indeed consume things that would be normally considered unedible by normal humans. For example, in Breath of the Wild, by combining an ancient core with something like 3 tireless frogs, you get a potion that will heal you for 12 hearts and recover your stamina to full. An odd outcome to say, but an NPC in the game will tell you that ancient cores can be used to help you recover. But there's a lot of recipes in the game, and there's even an NPC that will just say, put some meat together with some random gemstone and you will get a nice hearty meal. Guess what? It doesn't. Another example of Goron food is the Goron spice, an item that is apparently popular amongst Hylians and Gerudo. The contents of this spice are unknown, but it was made to make food more delicious. But unlike any normal spice, it doesn't turn the food spicy, but rather sweet. So it is a sweetening spice of all things. Now, I want you to remember this for later, as I will come back to this topic. So now we can sort of confirm that Hylians can eat almost anything and just be fine with it. So why would Hylians eat Goron food so willingly? Is it because they're desperate for food? Well, no. In fact, it might be that the Goron's food is preferred to some degree. It might even be the #1 food source for Hylians. You can even feed Goron food to fairies in Hyrule Warriors Legends to upgrade them. We always assume that Gorons mine Death Mountain for resources so they can make something like steel or stuff with iron. But I think it's more a side business, and in fact, the mining of the Goron food is the #1 reason why we see so little food stores throughout Hyrule history. That's right. The Hylians and several other tribes of Hyrule most likely eat Goron-made food. We can in fact confirm this with looking at simple geography of Hyrule throughout the games. And I mostly know there isn't much agriculture in Hyrule. We barely see any farms or places where food could grow just to support the need of food in the Kingdom of Hyrule. In fact, one of the biggest farms we see close to Hyrule Castle Town is in the Minish Cap, which definitely cannot support the whole city with food. Even in the Breath of the Wild, we see some farm sites near villages, which are big enough to support the size of their village. But if you look at the farms near Hyrule Castle Town, and then add up the size from each location, then there's no way a city as densely populated as Hyrule Castle Town would have enough food supply to last if every farm contributes to the cause. Little they might get robbed, or it might spoil on the way to the castle. Unless the food isn't worth stealing and doesn't expire. Such as food supplied by the Gorons. While we see some Bokoblins and Moblins carry gemstones with them, most of their food supply consists out of meat, fish, fruits and vegetables. When we say stuff like about the cuckoos and the pigs, well, have you tried killing a cuckoo in-game and see what happens? Clearly they're more like guard dogs if anything. So this got me thinking of how someone like Link can recover so much from just eating normal food, or even fully recover from something like soup. It is simple. They eat rocks, and thus something more nutritious and easy to absorb by the body like soup will help them recover at a much faster rate. So why would Hylians decide to eat rocks mined from the Gorons instead of other food? Well, simple. As I said before, rocks do not expire as fast as normal food. No mold can really grow in it, and even if it gets wet, not much will happen to it. It is even easy to store away. There's even proof that rocks might be preferred by some Hylians. In one of the side quests in the Oracle games, we meet the Happy Mass salesman for a trading side quest. We give him the item, the tasty meat, but he doesn't seem to like it. But maybe he's just more a vegetarian. Another proof could be hidden in the Downfall timeline, where Gorons left Hyrule, but are still around in Holodrum and Labrynna. In the hundreds of years of the Downfall timeline, we see Hyrule barely grow and change. Like, there aren't enough supplies to make the kingdom grow large again. It isn't until Zelda 2 we see a larger Hyrule with its many towns. But this phenomenon cannot be explained, I'm afraid. So we're gonna leave that as an exception for now. But we do see Holodrum and Labrynna grow at a much steadier rate with the Gorons there. In Labrynna especially, since we travel through time to see it change throughout the ages. They even get rid of the monarchy at one point, but develop perfectly fine. And none of these kingdoms have any sorts of farmlands. Even in the Wind Waker, where trading is king, we see that the most successful merchants are in fact Gorons if we do the trading side quest. But it could be for other reasons too. These are just a few things to note. Now let's move on to our last question of this video. Can normal humans digest Goron food? Well, the answer is a definite no. Our bodies are not made to digest food mined by the Gorons. Though there are some people who eat rocks or even glass. Just look up on the internet, there are many videos of people just eating any types of glass, rocks, and even metal. But take this with a grain of salt, since it's the internet after all. So clearly some people are able to digest glass and rocks, but these are very rare to find and aren't common at all. So is there any rocks that we can eat? Well, remember the Goron spice? We do have our real life counterpart of that. Yes, there is salt, which is the only spice per se we mine or either get from the ocean. But of course, there are also sweet spices, but these are all grown from plants. But here's a fun speculation for you guys. I believe the Goron spice is clearly based off rock sugar and other eastern sweet spices mostly grown in countries like India. While rock sugar isn't mined, it's simply sugar recrystallized to huge proportions. Rock sugar also goes under the name of rock candy to you Americans over there. But seriously, look at these things! If these were rocks that you can just mine in Death Mountain, I would eat it. So colorful, it's very sweet to bite on, and well, why wouldn't you make this a Goron rock you can mine? But this is just speculation on the idea where Nintendo got it from. So throughout history, Hylians seem to consume a lot of Goron food, and explains why someone like Link can just eat anything and just recover a lot of health, even something as small as an apple. But also why he can ignore days of eating and even drinking from beginning to end. It's because they are used to digesting rocks, which they obtain from the Gorons, and these take a long time to digest in general. It also pretty much explains why the Hylians remain so closely settled to Death Mountain game after game, while in our world it's simple. Every time the volcano erupts, the ground becomes very fertile afterwards. But what if in Hyrule? The lava and magma from Death Mountain helps create a constant stream of replenishing rock food for both the Gorons and Hylians to digest. A steady stream of dangerous obtainable rocks, but never seem to expire? In fact, if they can eat rocks, what kind of the rocks would they eat? Could it be tied to something else? Maybe why their species ages so slowly? I might look into that later. Either way, what do you guys think? Leave a comment below and tell me what you think of this, and I will see you all next time.